The alarm horn blared across the bay, slicing through that calm evening air so sharp it felt personal, like somebody had yanked me out of a dream just to drop me in a war zone. I was standing on my dock, clutching a sheaf of legal papers stamped with more red than a Christmas parade, watching 3 Coast Guard boats close in their hulls, cutting the dark water straight toward my so-called private island. All that separation, all that distance, it suddenly meant nothing. Searchlights swept across my face, harsh as interrogation bulbs, erasing the world into blinding white and bottomless black. Mr. Sterling, you have 24 hours to vacate these premises, or will be forced to take legal action. The voice thundered through a megaphone, Veronica Blackwood, every word landing with the finality of a judge's gavel, riding right over the slap of water on wood. How in the world had I ended up here hunted on my own property? Just 3 weeks ago, I was another tired guy scraping by in Seattle, dreaming of escape, not some reluctant action hero in a lakeside standoff. Let me back up a sec. It started with a letter, the kind that shakes the air out of your lungs. We regret to inform you of the passing of your Uncle Reed Sterling. You have been named sole beneficiary of his estate, including Sterling Point. Man, I nearly dropped the envelope. That island was where I learned to fish. Listened to Uncle Reed's scratchy war stories, watched the sun go down with a belly full of fresh trout, and wonder. He'd always called it our family legacy, told me. Someday you'll need to protect it. I thought he meant from weather or taxes. Turns out the old man was getting me ready for an entirely different storm. I packed everything I owned, some drafting supplies, a box of hopes, a dented Honda, and every half-baked architectural dream I had left, and pointed north. The cabin was exactly as I remembered, shingles gray as driftwood, big windows open to the water. Uncle Reed's maps and charts still pinned up like a shrine to secrets. But there was a new urgency in the air and a sense of being watched I couldn't shake. Sure enough, hidden in his desk, I found a journal and a map covered in weird military scribbles. Coordinates, depth marks, cryptic notes about classified materials, the kind of thing that makes you check over your shoulder even when you know you're alone. I was still puzzling over those maps when a yacht, a real floating palace, eased up to my dock like it was making a house call. 4 people stepped off 3 suits, and Veronica Blackwood, who looked like she could buy and sell half the state before breakfast. Mr. Sterling, we need to discuss some rather serious violations, she announced, shaking my hand with a grip colder than a salmon run in January. That was the first red flag. I'd researched every inch of this property. There was no Marina Cove Homeowners Association, in the records none. But Veronica smiled like she had the winning hand and started listing off violations, paint color, dock construction, solar panels. You name it, 47 in total, for a grand total of $89,000 in fines. Then came the offer: sell now, walk away clean, or get buried in legal fees. You know what I mean? The kind of shakedown you think only happens in mob movies. But this was my family's island, and I wasn't about to roll over. I called her bluff. Show me your documents, articles of incorporation, registered agent, full membership list. Her smile faltered just for a heartbeat, enough to make me realize she was hiding something. And when her crew finally left, I found a GPS tracker hidden under my dock, blinking like a taunt. This wasn't about home values or architectural guidelines. Somebody was hunting for something they were willing to break laws and fake entire HOAs to find. The next morning I hit the phones, 3 lawyers, 3 versions of nope. That HOA's not legally real, not in the county, not in the state. Now I knew I was up against more than petty bureaucracy. That day, Veronica came back, this time with an inspection team and a battalion of cameras. They focused on the foundation, the basement, the tool shed odd for people supposedly concerned about deck railings. The more I watched, the more convinced I became that all this was about whatever secrets Uncle Reed had locked away, not some peeling paint. Looking for answers, I found my neighbor Ted Brennan, a retired fisherman who'd seen more than his share of crooks. "That woman's a menace," he spat. "Pulled this on the Kowalskis, too. Fined 'em till they sold, then just left the place to rot. Nobody moved in, nobody built. Just empty." That night I finally opened Uncle Reed's locked basement. The key was exactly where he used to stash everything Coffee Can marked emergency fund. Down there, behind a fake wall, I found a steel safe. And inside, not money but maps, military survey charts, diagrams of underground vaults, German U-boat coordinates, even a folder marked classified. My uncle hadn't just been a fisherman, he was the commander of Neptune's Trident, a secret WW-2 submarine monitoring unit. The island had been a government outpost, and the lake it was hiding a sunken German U-boat loaded with art gold and God knows what else worth millions back in '45. And that's when I heard it. Drilling coming from under my dock. I peeked out and caught divers' lights sweeping in slow patterns, searching systematic. By morning, there were fresh gouges in the sand metal shavings, proof someone else had found Reed's clues. Veronica's next move was pure pressure, a smaller buyout team, a $2 million offer all charm. But the second I refused, she let the mask slip. "Family sentiment doesn't pay for lawyers," she sneered, making it clear the threats weren't going to stop. I called in a favor a PI named Billy Hawthorne. "Dig up everything on Veronica Blackwood and Apex Maritime Holdings," I told him. In the meantime, I started calling every WB2 history nerd I could find. Turns out Uncle Reed's Neptune's Trident was one of a dozen secret sites. But only Sterling Point had actually tracked a German U-boat to its grave, and the last cargo manifest included stolen masterpieces and Nazi gold. Dr. Benjamin Cross from UW got so excited he drove out, and together we uncovered a second hidden chamber, an underground museum really lined with art document sculptures, and a military-grade safe. But it was Billy's report that chilled my blood. Veronica wasn't just a scam artist, she was CEO of Apex, a front for artifact smuggling. Every island she'd bought same playbook, fake HOA forced sales, then strip it and abandon. When she didn't get her way, she got mean. My neighbor Ted went missing, then a combat knife and a threat showed up pinned to my door. 12 hours or Ted takes a dive. That's when the cavalry arrived, except it wasn't the kind I expected. 3 Coast Guard boats stormed in before dawn. At their head, Captain Elena Hayes, whose father had served with Uncle Reed. Turns out she'd been running a task force to catch Apex in the act of cultural trafficking, selling looted artifacts to fund who knows what kind of crime. With Elena's help, we mapped out every hidden passage and set a trap. Coast Guard teams surrounded the island as the sun dipped low, waiting for Veronica to make her move. The final act played out like something out of a heist movie. Veronica, thinking she'd won, invited me and Ted aboard her yacht, her command center. As she bragged about smuggling, showing off surveillance feeds of divers cracking the underwater vault, Elena's voice boomed through the PA. "Veronica Blackwood, you're surrounded and under arrest." Chaos erupted. Veronica pulled a gun, took Ted hostage. Her crew panicked as underwater alarms lit up the lake with lights and sirens. Elena's sharpshooters moved in fast as a thunderclap, and the Coast Guard rappelled down from a helicopter, taking the yacht in minutes. Veronica fought to the end, but it was over, caught on every camera, every wire, every count. Standing there on the dock as dawn broke, watching federal agents catalog treasures that had been missing since the Nazis tried to steal Europe's soul, I finally got it, what my uncle had sacrificed for what he'd trusted me to protect. This wasn't just about property or money. It was about justice, about giving families back what was stolen from them, about proving that ordinary people can win when they refuse to be bullied. 6 months later, I watched Veronica get sentenced. 25 years, her assets liquidated to repay the families she'd ruined. The Kowalskis, tears in their eyes, finally got their home back. The Bernstein Archive went home to Europe. Renaissance paintings hung in their rightful museums. Jewish artifacts returned to synagogues, history restored. The island itself became a historic site. Elena took over as director, Dr. Cross handled the exhibits, and Ted, alive and kicking, tells the story to every wide-eyed kid who visits. The German government gave us a finder's fee enough to preserve the place forever. Veronica even wrote me from prison, finally admitting she'd been chasing the wrong kind of treasure her whole life. Now every evening I sit on that dock, Uncle Reed's old chair, cup of coffee in hand, Elena at my side, and I watch the sun paint the water gold. Tourists come, kids learn, families heal. Turns out sometimes the American dream isn't about getting more, it's about protecting what really matters. So tell me, what would you do if bullies tried to steal your legacy? Do you think justice always wins? Or did I just get lucky? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you believe that ordinary people can still make a difference, if you think some things are worth more than money, smash that like and share your own story. Because out here, we're all just trying to keep the real treasure safe for the next folks who come along.